hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We live?
We are now, baby.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Oh, damn you. Let me pull up.
Do you want to do the intro? Or you want me to run the intro?
I can host. Or yeah, I can host.
Oh, Will's here. Will's here. Hell yeah. Okay. So we'll get Will settled in and then we'll start recording.
We have a actual good combo here on who's going to be this MVP. I think we have quite the conversation.
I think so too. Shooty
Wow,
hoops.
Stoops. Wow. We're honored.
War
William,
Eagle.
thanks for holding out, man. Yeah, we weren't sure we were going to be able to make it happen, but now we're pulling it off.
We
So
are
I'm gonna
live. We
start.
are live
Yeah,
on YouTube right
we're
now.
live. Wave to YouTube. I'm gonna start recording here in a second, and Jackson's gonna lead us in. Sound good?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my video camera to work, and then we'll be good to go. Can
It's
y'all
We can
see
looking
me
see
good.
or
you.
no?
So yeah,
Yeah,
we
Okay,
can
you're
see
good.
looking
you.
good.
Perfect. Okay, just making sure. Awesome.
All right, Jax, you ready?
Yep.
Three, two, one.
All right, folks, we are coming off a spectacular comeback. We were down 16 points at halftime to the top five, number five in the nation, Iowa State Cyclones. And we stormed all the way back and won the game at the buzzer with a Janai Broom tip in basket to win 83-81, a 2-point victory. Man, absolutely energized out here. I'm on the West Coast. I have a little more energy than my East Coast buddies that are late right now, but
Just
it
a
was
bit.
worth staying up for. We got Ben Young on and a special guest, Shooty Hoops Will or Will McLaughlin. You have to pronounce it yourself,
McLaughlin, you're
Will.
good. It's all good. It's all good.
So we that you win a game in that kind of fashion, people come out the woodwork and are going to be on the podcast. So more wins like that, we might have more guests on. So thanks for coming on, Will. Ben, quick thoughts here.
Yeah, thanks, Will. I apologize. Jackson got into the Redmont vodka celebrating that victory a little early there, but holy cow, what a game! Will, how does it feel to be an undefeated host of the Jungle Auburn podcast?
Well, may as well keep it this way every time I come on here. It's an honor to be here, first of all. But yeah, what a way to start and make my debut on the show. Holy cow.
Yeah, Jackson and Matt both got to start off with an incredible undefeated streak with that 2022 team. And it's nice to be back in the winning ways. I mean, you heard Jackson at the start off here. These were two top five teams. This was the highest ranked on ranked matchup in the opening round of the Maui Invitational ever. They talked about that all night. But I think where we got to talk about is how much this team was down at halftime. The boys were down 16 points at halftime and started the second half on an 18-2 run to storm back and make it a game the whole way. Last year, we got to watch Bruce Pearl's Auburn team just put people to sleep. They either won the game completely going away, or there were a couple of games where it never felt like they were really in it. This team feels different. We saw fight, we saw grit, we saw guys not lose faith in their shot. Miles Kelly, who started off not being able to buy a bucket, hit some clutch threes. Janai Broom started 0 for 4 from the 3-point line. And guess what? He didn't stop shooting. And we like to start with a little bit of MVP discussion on here. Speaking of Janai Broom raining threes. And I think that's probably going to be the toughest part of this podcast. Will, who do you feel like is your MVP for this game?
Well, I know Janai ended up being the leading scorer and had the winning bucket, but I got to go Chad Baker, Mazar, no question about it. Just because Auburn was really out of it at halftime, being down 16, going to the locker room. Wasn't really sure what to think if Chad Baker was going to come back. Just the way he limped off, it didn't look good at first, to be honest. And then seeing that he was warming up at coming out of the locker room, it kind of gave me personally kind of gave me hope. It's like, all right, well, this is doable. But when he started the first couple minutes of the second half, he was really hobbling. He was his face like he just didn't look like he was going to be able to go. And then all of a sudden, he knocked that first three down, and boy, it was. And next thing you know, Auburn's right back in the basketball game. And
Katie bar the door.
you know, so to me it's got to be Chad Baker, Mazar, no question about it. Just his spark tonight is what willed this team to come back and win this basketball game.
Yeah, it wasn't just the scary, almost hyperextension of his knee. Chad Baker Mazara finished the first half with just 2 points. He ended the game with 18, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 huge steals. A man after my own heart. He was perfect from the free throw line, which was huge tonight, 5 for 5. And he was 3 of 4 from deep on a night where Auburn wound up shooting pedestrian numbers from the 3-point line, but really, especially early on, struggled from the 3-point line. He finished 5 of 8 from the field. Outstanding night from Chad Baker-Mazar. Jackson, who's your MVP?
I was curious if you guys would split the vote or not. If I was going to have to be the guy that figures it out, and neither of you guys are going Janai Broom, dude. Janai Broom, we have underrated Janai Broom so hard because we expect so much from him. This All-American out there that was consistent the entire game. He's the guy, and really, it's just sometimes it feels like the only reason he doesn't go off even more is because we don't give him the ball when he needs it. He's the guy that tips in the bucket at the end to get that hard two to finish off the game. He had 21 points, 10 rebounds, another double for Janai. He started off soft from 3, but he hit the last 2, in the second half that made this game really where it went to. I know we love CBM. We love seeing him come back from the injury there. Classic CBM to have an injury like that and be dramatic and be able to come back. Even Cardwell got in on the CBM game a little bit, laying down on the ground for a minute there after a foul, and they gave the thumbs up. And I was like, that's a CBM move right there to call the foul. But I say, we should look through the Reddit. We should look through the YouTube comments. Please, YouTube, let us know because I think we need some help here.
Well, Jackson, there's one more player. There's one more player we got to talk about, but finish your Janai Broom love. Keep going.
I put Janai Broom above CBM purely, 1, he scored more. 2, he was consistent all game. 3, he didn't commit that flagrant 1 foul at the end that almost lost us the game near the end. And CBM was out a bunch of the time. I know he was hurt, but Janai Broom kept us going the entire night. When things were really tough in the first half, it was Janai Broom. Things got going in the second. It was because of CBM. And I also want to check the rims because it was so lopsided on both ends, man. It was crazy. I want to check there's like a lean on that quarter, because it was like automatic reversal. I could not believe Iowa State was blitzing us. They were on top of us. They couldn't miss. Absolute role reversal. So we got to check those rims, I think.
I watched some of the Memphis Connecticut game earlier today, and that side of the rim, like Memphis was down there on the second half. They couldn't miss. So that kind of made me at halftime. I was like, well, we'll get to shoot on that rim because it felt like Iowa State was just throwing it in the ocean and it was going in the first half. So yeah, that rim, and then that other rim was just the total opposite. So yeah,
I think that was the toughest part for me in the first half is we were getting some good quality looks. Miles Kelly and Denver Jones both getting shots in rhythm where they wanted to be on their spots on the floor. Even Turtle Hudson took a wide open 3 from the top of the key. Not a guy you necessarily want shooting, but when the shot's that open, you almost feel tempted to let him take it. And we know Bruce Pearl gives these guys a long leash to take open good shots. And we were taking a lot of good shots in the first half. They just weren't falling. There's one other guy that we want to talk about, but before we get off the Janai Broom train, I do want to point out, you mentioned that Chad had that flagrant 1 sequence. That got started by a Janai Broom turnover at the top of the key. So there's plenty of tension to go around. There's one more guy that we've got to mention. He is by far our best guard on this team. Jackson, I hope he's finally living up to his 5-star hype here tonight. Tahad Pettiford, 14 points. He only had 1 turnover tonight against an Iowa State team that turned us over 12 times. I mean, we were halfway to our season high, I think, with 5 minutes to go in the first half. Tahad Pettiford, he did shoot a lot, but he was 5 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 5 from beyond the arc, and 2 of 2 from the free throw line. So again, just incredibly efficient play. And he finished playing 19 minutes.
And Matt, he only had 2 fouls.
Yeah, only 2 fouls.
I mean, that's been the thing for Tahad. He's not been able to stay on the floor at times because he's picked up these ticky-tack fouls for him to be able to stay on the floor. But Denver Jones played a lot in the second half. I felt like Tahad didn't play a whole lot, honestly. Denver was, it's hard to say tonight. I feel like Denver Jones did a good job remaining the point, especially in the second half, because it was either Denver or Tahad. I mean, unfortunately, I'm worried about JP Pegues. I was really excited about him, but man, it's been tough to watch.
Hold on. So
I said bench him like 6 minutes. I was like, I do not want to see JP in this game the rest of the way. And they didn't put him back in the rest of the way. Immediately, he came back. They tried to give him a couple minutes in the second half when things were close. He immediately got trapped and turned the ball over. And I was like, that's it. That's it. I'm sorry. Like, he can play some backup minutes against G5 teams or mid-majors, but he's got a long way to go, especially in a close game against a top 5 team.
All right, Jackson, I'm here in the YouTube comments. We got Ben C here saying, it's Janai. CBM was a solid choice, but damn, they were both warriors. Janai played the whole game, it seems like. According to ESPN, Janai Broom finished, I believe, with 33 minutes, but it might be 36. I got to pull that number back up. I know Jackson's also going to check the Reddit. So if you are on our Reddit threads, please let us know who you felt like tonight's MVP was. But man, it's going to be hard to go away from a guy. No, 36 minutes. Janai played almost the entire game in a huge switchover. Chris Thomas, Janai for sure, double-double, couple steals. But Jackson, not just a double-double. Janai Broom came into this game averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds. And all he did tonight, 21 points and 10 rebounds.
Incredible.
You want to talk about the model of consistency.
Even when we were losing, I was about to text you guys like, it's just an honor to watch Janai Broom right now. Like, he's just so much better than everybody else. He, like they said on the broadcast tonight, he elevated for those rebounds. Those rebounds were huge. He was going up in traffic and grabbing a ton of rebounds on top of his just amazing touch he has.
Cam's Current says Janai is going to be MVP for every game. Impossible to ignore his impact, but CBM was the spark. So even in our YouTube comments, we got a little controversy. And if you love listening to the Jungle Auburn podcast as you're driving home, getting ready for Thanksgiving tomorrow, the next couple of days, we're going to be trying to go live after every game in Maui. Join us in the YouTube comments. We want to hear from you. We want to hear who your MVP was. We got Flex Machine who says, War Eagle boys, we beat ISU and the refs. I thought it was pretty even. I think we got a bad flagrant one call in our favor, and then they gave Iowa State one to make up there at the end. Pocket Watch is back. He says Gonzaga jumped us in KenPom right before this game was included. It's tough to watch us hop up and down inside of KenPom there, but we're still a pretty top team. You know, Jackson, you made a convincing argument, and I think I'm getting swayed. What does Reddit say?
Reddit says, who did he say? AU Art says it's got to be CBM. AU Bear, another Reddit legend here, it says it's Janai. The threes, the putback, both were Warriors, but Janai played almost the entire game. TG Rogan 21 said, no doubt, no question. Without CBM, we lose by 25. Again, this has got to be the tightest race we've had for MVP for a while. But I think that comment, Janai played the whole time. I know CBM came back in and it was a big difference, but Janai, he kept us alive when things looked the worst and CBM was out. And that's not his fault necessarily that he was out, but CBM was a little all over the place. We know he's kind of like that catalyst that maybe brought us back. But Janai is that solid guy. And I just feel like we can't keep ignoring how good Janai was in that one.
And if you remember the Yale game, we had a shot to tie it at the end of regulation. A bunch of guys scrumming under the basket. Nobody could get it in there. And who was scrumming under the basket tonight, putting up that shot to get the win, avoid the overtime? Our man wearing number 4, Janai Broom. Jackson, I think we got to crown him.
Wow, we've got a switch up. I'm so glad, this is why you come to the YouTube comment section. This is why you put it on Reddit, because you could change our opinions live on the podcast. I think we've got it. Sorry, Will, your guy doesn't get it this time. MVP, Janai Broom. You're going to hear that name all year long. 21 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. I heard he's leading the nation in blocks, which I'm embarrassed that I didn't know that earlier since I'm the block guy. But man, another great one from Janai. And one last statement on the CBM Janai battle there. We're going nuts about Chad Baker-Mazar coming in and starting that comeback a bit there. But we only can think that way because Janai Broom just keeps bringing it every single night. Take Janai Broom out of this game? No chance. So I'm saying Janai Broom, thank you. It's so good to watch Janai Broom and this team.
So Janai Broom is our MVP, but Will, you got to talk about another important piece of this team. What are you seeing from JP Pegues? Can you identify what's causing all of his struggles?
He just, man, I tell you, it's been tough to watch. I just feel like if he could make a shot or two and get his confidence up, I'm thinking he can take off. But he just seems overwhelmed by the competition right now. And there were multiple times in the second half when he got in, he just went right into a trap and would turn the ball over or call a timeout. Or it's hard to say, but it's his confidence is certainly not good right now, and it doesn't help too probably that you got 2 guys that are Denver and Tahad are both playing much better than him at the point guard position right now. So that's certainly probably not helping. But I was really excited to watch JP this year, and it's been tough to watch so far, but I haven't given up on him completely. I just feel like he just needs a game where he can just get a couple shots to fall.
Yeah, if you remember last year, it took Denver Jones a little while to sort of get into rhythm. Jackson, what were you thinking?
We've seen a decent amount of Auburn point guards get blitzed like this to start a season and then contribute by the end because Bruce does a great job of developing these point guards. Who was the guy, McCormick, that was on the team? in the Final Four year, he was awful to start the year. He was unplayable at one point. I think it was at LSU that year. He was unplayable. It was embarrassing to watch. It was really tough. But by the end of the year, he was scoring points in against, I believe, Kentucky. Was it, or was it UNC on that one? Where he was contributing well. I think they kept him in even in the game one of these Final Four run games. He was developed a ton, and by his next year was great. So just keep an eye out. I think we're just kind of take a step back with JP and just say, well, we thought you were a starting kind of guy. We thought you were a big minutes kind of guy coming in. Clearly, it didn't quite work out, and just take a long-term path. The same way we would have with Howard or Hudson, where we did not expect them to be some great players coming in. We knew it was going to take a while, and you just hoped by the end of the year they were good contributors. We're just going to take a step back with JP McGee's. But the good thing is Todd Pettiford is playing pretty well. I'm still a little nervous about him. He's clearly got the athleticism. He's still got the playmaking ability. He's a little out of control. He's a little too fast for his own good at times. He scored 14. I know we briefly talked about the MVP. If he didn't hit that contested, long range, terrible idea of a three, it would be a little bit of a different game for him. He would have had 11 points. He would have been 1 of 5 from three. So I felt like that three was a little lucky on his part, but he had another one where I'm pretty sure it was the other one where he like took a step back and hit it. And that's just what he brings to the game. And you just hope that another couple games, maybe by SEC play, he looks a little more mature and we can kind of rely on 10 to 15 points from him. And that would be amazing.
Now, wait a second. Ryan's come in the chat. He wants Denver Jones for MVP. I mean, Denver played 30 minutes. The way he ran the point was incredibly efficient tonight. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists, only 1 turnover, which is nice. 6 of 6 from the line, which was huge coming down the stretch, hitting those free throws. But ESPN doesn't have him as making a 3-pointer. Didn't Denver Jones hit a 3, or am I misremembering?
I remember him being in the corner hit, so maybe they gave him 2 points for that.
It was a long two. Yeah, it was a long two.
Brutal.
Yes, he hit the 2 3 throws to put him in front for the first time. And I thought initially he hit the 3 too, but I guess his foot was on the line. They never went back and checked it or reviewed it. I don't think so. But yeah,
just more
questionable
officiating. Gentlemen, we got to talk about Big 44, the Jumbotron man himself. Dylan Cardwell played 24 minutes tonight. Now, some of that had to do with the foul trouble with Chaney Johnson, but let's talk about Dylan Cardwell.
I was really surprised to see him still in on that finishing lineup. Maybe that was just because they want him on defense in that finishing lineup. But me and Ben were texting during that we wanted Chaney in during that. Like you said, Chaney had 4 fouls, so maybe that's how he paid him more. He had a pretty good transition where he took the ball down there and took a flagrant one. Had a funny moment where he slid into the chairs and laid down like he was hurt for a minute, and they gave 2 thumbs up to the crowd, which was pretty funny. Made a fun moment. Played well. He's still trying to figure out how to do something on offense, but I wish he would be a backup center. I think we're just with Hudson and Howard still barely playing or not playing. It gets a little weird, but hey, we just beat a second top 5 team. So maybe I'm not the one that needs to know this stuff. If we keep beating top 5 teams, I'm not going to keep arguing about it.
And that double big lineup, beginning of the second half, a lot of people have dogged that double big lineup, and the people are like, we need to put this thing out to pasture. This thing's just not working. They went back to the double big lineup and really got back into the basketball game this early in the second half. So Bruce clearly sees something of that double big lineup, and they didn't sub. I mean, usually you see Auburn sub in the first minute or 2, maybe 3 minutes. I think they didn't sub till 5-6 minutes when Dylan, I think, picked up his 3rd foul, and then of course Chaney comes in and immediately gets his 4th foul. So it's you never know sometimes what you're gonna get from Dylan, but there were some good moments tonight, I'll say.
We also got some good moments from Chris Moore tonight, forced again into more duty with the lack of availability on our depth, and then just the foul trouble between Chaney and Dylan Cardwell, who both finished with 4 fouls but did not foul out, which was huge. Chris Moore didn't score tonight, but he did have a really, really important offensive rebound there at the end of the game, and he had 2 assists, which means he's continuing to know his role in the offense, even when he's forced into that 4 position.
I mean, thank God we have Chris Moore as this guy that can play these roles when things get in trouble, but I hate it. I hate watching Chris Moore get back down. I hate watching him get beat. Like he's not a guy that should be playing a lot of minutes on a top 5 team, but he's in the transfer portal era where you can't have a bunch of developing players. When you're missing Hudson and Turtle, or I guess Hudson and Howard, good thing we have them. Just like last year and just like the year before we had Lior. Good thing we have them just in case. You just hope the least amount of minutes we see, that means the better team's playing. So glad he was around. All the guards struggled. It's tough to play this Cardwell Broom double bigs line when the guards are struggling to score, when the guards are struggling to make plays, and that's what I'm most worried about this team. But hey, we just came back. Man, I was in the depths of darkness about how once again we do not have guards that are playmakers. Once again, it's been since the Final Four team that we had guards that could make plays when the moments matter. I still don't know if we really have that. Maybe Todd Pettifer can be that, but when our bigs like Broom are playing this well, when CPM's back from injury and hit shots, we're all right. So I just, that's what I worry about anytime we have somebody like Chris Moore or Cardwell that is a black hole on offense is the guards are not going to make up for it. So we kind of need all our other players in.
Well, let's talk about our last guard that we haven't really mentioned yet, Miles Kelly. Man, you want to talk about struggling. His first half, it seemed like he couldn't buy a bucket. But then he came out in the second half. He had a couple of 3-pointers, and he was aggressive, continuing to attack and drive inside, work his offense from the inside out. Will, do you like what you see from Miles Kelly this season?
It's been a mix, honestly. I think everybody saw the first game where he hit 7 threes and had 21 points. And it's like, oh man, this guy's going to be just absolutely amazing. And it's been rocky ever since, honestly. There were some shots tonight at the start of the game that he got beat pretty bad on defense. There were some turnovers. He had 3 turnovers tonight. Quite frankly, at the beginning of the game, I was like, he might need to sit down for a little bit. He did hit some shots and took the ball into the paint, but I don't know. It's been kind of mixed for me for this so far from Miles. But we talked about JP a few minutes ago about settling into this Auburn team, and hopefully with more reps and more game time, he'll settle in and he'll start being a more consistent player for us. So definitely someone that can help us down the road for sure.
And
I
then let's
enjoyed
talk.
he's not just shooting threes, which is good. I enjoyed seeing him drive the ball tonight. I
Mhm.
felt that his defense was decent. So I'm happy with him. I think we just got our hopes up on how good he could be in that first game. So I think you'll
Mhm.
see him keep getting better. I like his attitude. That's a big thing. I've not seen anything that looks like he just looks like a good team player right now. And he might shoot a little heavy three. He'll figure that out. He shot 9 threes tonight. That's kind of crazy. I didn't realize how many he shot, but they need to calm down on that a little bit. But hey, that's what he's there for, and he's still a threat, I think, until unless he keeps shooting 2 of 9 for the next 10 games or so, he's still going to be a pretty big threat from there where people need to come out and guard him. So he needs to keep doing that, extends the defense. So I'm cool with it.
And we need to talk about Iowa State's star guard here. I mean, Keyshawn Gilbert tonight, he was 8 of 10 from the floor. So just lights out from the floor. He was 1 of 2 from three. He hit 6 of 7 of his free throws. He did most of his damage at the line. He finished with 23 points, but he also finished with 4 fouls. What was so key to Auburn continuing to keep Iowa State in foul trouble, even when they were up by double digits? Did we freeze, or do neither of you have an answer for that one?
I'm not gonna lie, I
Well,
was looking
yeah,
at the YouTube comments.
yeah, I was gonna say you're good.
Listen, what it always comes back to for me is that defense travels. And
mm,
we have seen Bruce talk about this all year, that he wants his guys to be in position on defense, keeping guys in front of them. You were both just talking about Miles and how he was getting the corner turned on him in the first half. I feel like in the second half, we really made some adjustments and settled in to how we were moving around their screens and making sure that we were fighting through. And it helped that they just came back down to earth with their 3-point shooting percentage. Jackson, I don't know if you have the first half stats pulled up anywhere, but I think they were shooting 55% from three in the first half, something otherworldly that obviously was going to come back down. But a lot of that has to do with staying patient and trusting each other. And that's a mark of a really mature basketball team.
If anybody's using a stat system like that to know first half versus second half stats quickly, we would love to know. That's something I would love to use also. Another interesting fact, some key stats here. We shot 81% from the free throw line. They shot 82%. It felt like that. It's pretty close. Other than they got 29 free throws to our 22. It feels like the whole second half, even though we were scrapping and clawing back, the only reason they stayed in it was because they kept hitting their free throws and we kept giving them free throws. And another factor is that the only thing that kept us even close, not even close, because we weren't close in the first half, was free throws. Also, I think we hit like 2 shots for the first 10 minutes of the game, and it was just free throws. Other than that, it annoyed me a little bit down the stretch. I mean, we pulled it off that we could, there was an early, I can't remember who it was, if it was Denver. Yeah, it was Denver, like with a minute and a half left, shot an early shot clock three that missed. and it felt like that was how we were going to lose the game. The refs were calling fouls down the stretch. It was heavy, like drive the ball. We have an All-American. Put that ball in that man's hands so we could shoot some of those free throws, even if you miss. We shot 33% from three. It was pretty bad in the first half. Caught up in the second half. They were hitting everything in the first half. That was bound to come down a little bit. Not just switching the sides of the court, but they were hitting some circus shots. They were hitting every single three. So I don't know what you guys think. I think that maybe that's an interesting question in itself. If you guys have one thing or two things you think switched at halftime to make this game reasonable.
So I'll go back to the stats you were asking about. I don't have them to put up on screen, but Iowa State shot 58% in the first half, and they
Whew.
only shot 30, I think 31, let me double check, 32% in the second half. So definitely a change, and the defense was just worlds better in the second half, obviously. But and that was the other thing too, is like they were shooting, like I said, at the beginning, they could throw the ball in the ocean, and surely that the law of averages was going to average out, and fortunately for Auburn, it did. But yeah, uh,
More than averaged out. I assumed
yeah,
they would, sure, they wouldn't hit everything. They were just, you could tell we were contesting good shots. There's at least one where Janai Broom had his hand within a centimeter of that ball from 3 point line, and they still hit it. I said at that moment, I was like, they're hitting everything, and it's not going to keep happening like this. They're not that good on offense to keep hitting that, but I didn't think it would come back so fully the other way. Another big deal was they were blitzing our guards. They were double teaming our guards. We couldn't get a pass out. That's an embarrassing one where CBM got double teamed and just threw the ball right to their team. Like I don't know what we changed at halftime to figure that out, other than maybe play JP less. Tahad maybe kind of got out of some of those. I can't diagnose exactly what happened there, but it just feel like we switched. We started throwing out of those. But that's part of how good this coaching staff is. I fully believe they would figure something out in the second half, that they would not be able to continue doing that because we haven't seen that under Bruce Pearl. We rarely see a team be able to blitz us or throw a zone on us that we don't figure out by the second half. And that's part of the fun of being a Bruce Pearl basketball.
I thought Chad Baker's defense in the second half probably really made a lot of difference too. He only played like 6 minutes in the first half, so having him back out there in the second half certainly didn't hurt, Auburn's defensive effort, if nothing else. So I
Well,
know he gave
boys,
me peas out earlier. I'm just throwing that back out there. I'm gonna stick with my guy, but yeah.
as well you should. And boys, we've got another late one tomorrow. As the winners of tonight's game, we're rewarded with a 10 p.m. tip off for tomorrow night's game with the winner of Dayton, North Carolina. And as we record this podcast, we don't know who that is just yet. So time's going to tell on that one.
Last bits here on the YouTube here. Stuart Bullington says, "Dear Lord, my heart won't ever be strong enough for this." That's Auburn sports, baby. You just got to deal. Maybe it's making us stronger. Who knows? Gibbs Pearson. I don't know if I've seen that name before. Welcome. Cardwell has drastically improved his handle. Still limited on the offensive end, but he feels confident putting that ball down. Yeah, there was a particular moment that I think Ben C brings up here in a bit where they left Cardwell up at the top of the key, and he just dribbled through him and threw down that dunk. That was so fun to watch. It's the same with Cardwell when someone gets a small guard on him out there, and like traditionally you would think, oh, that guard might blow by him or whatever, but not Cardwell. I get excited when the guard goes out on Cardwell because Cardwell's got great defense and he's ultra athletic. I wish he could have developed a shot or some hands by his fifth year, but I'm really happy to see what he has done. Mr. Beautiful says we're going to win 30 plus games this year. Hey, well, we talked about in the preseason pod. We just wanted to get one or two of these top five teams. That's all we needed to be happy in this out of conference. Just get one or two of these top fives and be happy that you're playing a strong schedule where you can learn something. Well, we've got two of them already, baby. We've got a shot at another one or two even in this tournament. So it's been a lot of fun. So that's a lot of the YouTube comments come in. Next game. Hopefully we'll do this after every game. If not, we'll do a tournament recap. I know everybody's pretty busy with Thanksgiving holidays. But this is fun for us as long as we're winning games like this. I think we're going to want to keep hopping on.
Yeah, absolutely. Will, we can't thank you enough for coming in and joining us. Give us some good analysis and good opinions. Hopefully we can get you back at some point later this season.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Always good to talk Auburn basketball. And War Eagle.
If you don't follow Shooty Hoops Will on Twitter, that's where I follow him. I've seen a lot of stuff over the years. He does this great thing. I don't know if you're still doing it or not, but he used to keep up with all the former players in the NBA and even overseas. So it's really cool to see a lot of his tweets or X's or whatever they call them now of players I haven't thought about in a while, getting Austin Wiley stats from Germany or, hearing who's
Yeah.
doing well in the G League. And that's been a lot of fun now that we
Yeah.
have a lot of players out there.
Yeah, hashtag Auburn in the pros is kind of how I do it. And I try to keep up with everybody in the NBA, the G League. And, as many guys as I can overseas. It's been cool watching because see Jared Harper and Austin Wilder are teammates now in Israel, so it's been kind of fun seeing
Wow.
those two together again. But yeah, though I try to keep up with them, Bryce Brown, and there's a few others in there that I'll throw in every once in a while. But yeah, that's kind of my one niche still with Auburn basketball, is keeping up with that. So that's still a lot of fun for me. So I appreciate the shout out and the mention there.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Will,
guys.
we just have one question for you before we go.
All right.
Will, are you having fun?
Who's not having fun right now? If you're not having fun, then I mean, I don't know what something's wrong with you. Uh, I love
And in the words of Ryan Storm and Norman Boys, we're gonna suit up and we're gonna do it again tomorrow night. War Eagle
War
boys.
Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right. Nice show, everybody. We got it
Yeah, that
wrapped
was a lot
before
of fun.
midnight. Will, I'm gonna get this uploaded and then it'll be available in the podcast streams tomorrow morning if you want to share it out.
Okay. Awesome. Thank y'all
Sweet.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, it
No,
was
that was
fun.
great.
It's been a while since I've done that, so
Well, the chemistry
Hey,
was.
you could have fooled me. You came in strong and ready to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
All
Thanks,
right, boys.
YouTube chat, guys. It's gonna be, tell your friends. It's only gonna get more fun from here. This is the virtual Tumors Corner. Let's
Whoa,
have some
Jackson.
more fun the rest of the season.
We got 21 people on the live right now.
That's good. That's good for us.
I think that's the most. I think that's the most so far this season. That's not bad, especially for a late tip. So YouTube, shout out. The podcast doesn't get this.
Watch it with
This
your
is just for
family
you.
at Thanksgiving. Very fun, family friendly.
Yeah. All right, boys.